I'm in the car again, so I figured I would do a story time video, especially because something crazy happened to me today. As you read from the title, I had to pull out my gun on a person for the very first time in my life. So, we'll definitely talk about that in this video. Before we talk about that, people ask me questions all the time. Have you ever pulled your gun out on a person or an animal? Have you ever shot anything or anyone? Luckily, I have never shot anyone or anything in defense. And I hope never to have to do that. Some people get the wrong idea. A lot of people think like if you carry a gun, you're very excited, you can't wait to shoot someone. Couldn't be further from the truth. I have a gun just in case I need one. I really hope and pray that I never, ever, ever have to point it at a human being, or an animal for that matter. But in case some stuff's going down, I'm glad I have it. And that's the whole point, is being prepared. You don't have to use it, but if you need it, it's good to have. So anyway, before I get into the person story, let me backtrack a little bit and talk about another story which I believe I mentioned, but I don't remember what video it was. So the question I get all the time, have you ever had to pull your gun out and you know, shoot anyone or anything? And no, I've never had to shoot anyone or anything. However, I have pulled my gun out on a very large black bear once, which was crazy. Completely crazy situation. The short version is I was dog sitting for a friend. Okay, it was actually a coworker. I left her work early, and she said, "Hey, can you take my dogs out?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll swing by your house real quick. It's no big deal." She didn't live too far from me. So I went to her house, took her dogs out in the backyard. She had 3 dogs. And when I was out there, around the corner came a huge black bear. This black bear had to have been probably maybe 400 or 500 pounds. You know, it was definitely an adult bear, okay, huge. And I didn't have much time to react, so the bear came out of the corner, you know, of the house. It's in the yard. It's about 20 feet or so from the dogs. The dogs are, of course, going nuts, barking. I'm kind of freaking out. I don't, like, my immediate thought was that the bear would attack one of the dogs. And I'm thinking how horrible this is. Of course, I'm an animal person. I love animals. I would shoot and kill a black bear if it was attacking a dog, whether it's my dog or some other dog. Only if I really, really had no other options. You know what I mean? If I thought the dog was going to get seriously hurt or killed, I would do that. So my immediate reaction was to draw my gun. And at the time, I believe it was a Glock 17 is what I was carrying. And I drew my gun on the bear. I was ready to go. My finger was off the triggers, you know, on the frame of the gun. My heart was racing like crazy, and I'm thinking, I'm going to have to shoot a friggin' bear. And as I'm thinking like about this whole situation, I'm thinking, well, what's going to happen afterwards? Okay, let's say I shoot and kill this bear. Am I going to get in trouble for killing an animal? I mean, I know defensively, it's kind of gray in that area where I live because there's a lot of wildlife. Basically, if there's a big black bear walking through your yard, unless it's really posing a threat, you can't do anything. You know, where I specifically live, I'm not saying Pennsylvania as a state, but where I live exactly, if it's not bugging you, you can't touch the thing. And if you shoot and kill them, you've now poached an animal, and that's a huge deal. That could be jail time. So now I'm trying to think of like the legal aspect of what's going on here, but I'm like, screw it. If this bear goes after one of these dogs, it's going down. I'll ask questions later, right? So thankfully, the bear, it didn't really seem spooked by the dogs, but it was a little weary of what was going on, and it walked off. Thank God. Okay. So that, and then I, of course, put my gun back away, and I told my friend all about the story, and oh my God, freaking out. Like, everything's okay, dogs are fine. So that was my first experience ever drawing my gun. So this morning, we're talking about a person now, not an animal. So here's what happened. I woke up probably 8:30 or so. My wife's at work this morning now. It's probably, I want to say maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm actually making a knife review. I'm filming a knife review for you guys. And I hear like a noise in my ceiling. My immediate thought was that the squirrels are back, because I knock on wood. I don't have any wood in the car, but I'll knock on some glass here for good luck. I haven't had a squirrel problem in a really long time. I took care of that problem, so no longer an issue. But I'm thinking like, Jesus, the squirrels are back, right? About 2 seconds later, after I hear this kind of clicking noise or whatever, I hear like thump, thump, thump on the ceiling, okay, of the roof. And it's way bigger. There's no way this is a squirrel. This is like a big animal. Thump, thump, thump. Some loud noises. So I'm like, what the hell is up there? And then my immediate thought after maybe it's a squirrel was, Jesus Christ, there's a bear on the roof. I don't know why I automatically thought it was a bear. I thought, all right, well, if it's bigger than a squirrel, it must be a bear. just kind of popped in my head. So I'm thinking, oh my God, there's a friggin' bear in the roof. What if he falls through because he's too heavy? What damage is he doing, you know? So I immediately grab one of my home defense guns, which is a Taurus revolver. It is a model 617. It's a snub-nosed 357 revolver. It holds 7 rounds. So I grab that thing and I go outside. Okay, now I'm booking. I want to know what's going on out there. So I go outside. I immediately step back in my driveway, look up, don't see anything, right? But I can hear the noise still. So I go around the corner, and as I'm entering to my backyard, I have my gun. Of course, fingers off the trigger. It's on the frame of the revolver, but I have it kind of out on like a 45-degree angle. Like it's out, but I'm not pointing straight out. I'm pointing down on an angle, ready for anything. I didn't know what I was going to find. As I round the corner, I see a guy standing on my roof. This is a white guy. He had a mustache, kind of pepper black hair, like black and gray mixed hair. Probably 50-something, if I had to guess. He's wearing, you know, dirty, really dirty. They were white jeans, but they were like filthy. Boots and a shirt. It was a blue shirt with some kind of writing on it, and I obviously didn't read it. So my immediate reaction, this is exactly what I said, word for word, and I'm going to give you a warning here. I'm going to use a little profanity, so if you don't like profanity, or if you have kids around, you don't want them to hear the F-bomb, mute your volume for a second here. So I reached up. Now, I never pointed my gun at him directly. Again, still had my gun out, was going to reach up to point it at him, and I yelled, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing on my roof?" Just like that. Word for word. Probably in that tone, too. "What the fuck are you doing on my roof?" And as I'm raising the gun, he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, buddy, whoa, please." So I lower the gun slightly, okay, away from him. I never actually pointed at him. I kind of was going up towards the roof line and then held it out as he went, whoa, whoa, whoa. I could see he has nothing in his left hand. In his right hand, he has some kind of an instrument. It's a long instrument with a bunch of bristle things on the end. So, of course, I say that to him, and he immediately yells down. And I'm glad he said something right away, because depending on how he reacted, I may have shot him. So he says, "Hey, I got a work order to clean your chimney." My chimney. So like, as soon as he said that, because my heart's, once I saw there was a person on my roof, my heart's pumping. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Is he trying to break in? You know, what's going on? I'm thinking I'm gonna have to fucking shoot this guy. So once he yells that I'm here, I have a work order to clean your chimney, then I started, you know, I thought, okay, well, makes sense why he's on the roof. Number one, why would you be on the roof? Maybe he's got the wrong house or something like that. My fireplace is not functional. I have a propane insert, and the propane insert, and actually the tanks and lines are ripped out, so I don't use my fireplace. I definitely don't need a chimney sweep, okay? And I definitely did not have a work order for him to come there. So at this point, I yell back to him. I'm like, get off the roof, come over here, a ladder. And I'm watching him the whole time. Gun's out, it's drawn. I'm ready for anything, but I'm kind of relaxed at this point. I'm now at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, well, he just total mistake. He's at a different house, no big deal. He's not saying anything at all. He's not saying. The only thing he said was, "Whoa, buddy, I got a work order, clean your chimney." So he's coming down the ladder. He puts his hands up like this. He dropped his tool. He threw it on the ground. Put his hands up, and he's like, I got a work order. I'm here to clean your room. And he gave me an address, and the address he gave me was not my address. It was the same number, but it was for a different street. And I'm thinking, what a moron. First of all, why didn't you knock on my door? Even if it was for me, don't you think you knock on someone's door before you climb the roof? So I immediately tell him my real address, and he goes, "Oh my God." He's like, "I am so," he was so apologetic. He said he was sorry probably 20 times. Oh my God. Now, he never mentioned, "Don't shoot me," or he was staring at the gun the entire time I was talking to him, but he never talked about it or anything. He never said, "Oh my God, you almost shot me," or anything like that. It was there. It was the elephant in the room. We all knew what was going on. He was thankful I didn't shoot him or even really point at him. But that's what the situation was. He was completely at the wrong house. He'll never forget that mistake, I'll tell you that. I'll never forget that mistake. It was pretty friggin' crazy. Once I realized what was going on, and it's probably as he's climbing down the ladder, I'm thinking, the friggin' moron's on the wrong house. I almost shot this guy. Then I'm starting to really ease myself or whatever. And he got in his truck. And by the way, his truck wasn't even in my driveway. His truck was not up the street, but it was on the street. So when I came out, if I saw his truck in the driveway, it would have been a whole different situation. He didn't park in the driveway, he parked in the street, so I didn't see it right away. And of course, his truck had ladders and it had his business name on the side, something chimneys or whatever the hell it was. So it totally makes sense. It's legit, the whole thing. He just was at the wrong house, and that was a big mistake. So thank God no one got hurt. Didn't have to fire any rounds. Didn't, you know, it could have been a lot worse. And really, depending on how he reacted, very much could have changed the situation. If he got scared and like ran or something, I would have fucking shot that guy. You know what I'm saying? So what he did was good right away, just showing that I'm not a threat, I'm here to do this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad it worked out that way. But it was a good little test. It was definitely a good little test. I'm glad at how I reacted. Some people might say like, oh, you should have pointed the gun out. Some people probably say, hey, you should have shot him anyway and ask questions later. That's your opinion. I'm glad I didn't, because he was innocent. He was just dumb to have, number one, not knocked on my door, and number two, not gone to the right address. It was definitely crazy. It was a test, and I think I passed the test in how I handled it. But yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, when you have guns, you really have to be responsible, and you really have to try to play. You're not going to be able to think of every scenario that's ever going to happen, but you have to try to kind of plan some of these things as to how you're going to react. So if it does ever happen, you react that way. You know, something else I've told my wife, because as you guys know, and I'll do another video soon showing her gun and everything, talking about it. But I told her, I said, listen, if you are going to carry a gun, you have to understand you're responsible for every single bullet. You can't be in a convenience store and someone's robbing the place and you go to shoot them. Even if you hit them and kill them and you're the hero, blah, blah, blah. First of all, don't even think hero, okay? Carrying a gun, if you're thinking you're going to be a hero somewhere, leave it home. You're already making a mistake thinking that you're going to save the day. That's not the purpose of carrying guns at all, okay? But what I explained to her is that even if you're defending your life, if you accidentally hit someone else, you're responsible for that bullet, okay? Even if you shoot the bad guy and it goes through him and it hits someone innocent, you're responsible for that. You can go to jail, even defending yourself. There's a lot of people in prison who lawfully defended themselves. It was just a bad situation, you know what I mean? So it's a huge responsibility. It's not as black and white as I just want to defend myself. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have guns that shouldn't have guns. The worst thing I think you could do is buy a gun for defense and then put it in a drawer or a safe or something and never touch it. You should be extremely familiar with your firearms. You should know exactly how they work, you know, and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm not trying to make it like a preachy video or anything. I just want to share my story. Definitely a crazy experience that's happened. I'm glad everything's cool. And yeah, that's about it. You know? That could have happened 20 times, and every single time something different might have happened. Of all the scenarios I played in my mind as to when or how I would have to draw my gun against a person, I would never think it's because someone's on my roof. Some stranger is climbing around my roof of my house. You know, that never popped in my head. So most people who are in these situations where they have to draw their gun probably never even thought that would happen, the way it actually happened, you know? Who knows? So there you go. There's my story. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.